Hi, I'm Trent Martin, one of the owner and operators of Columbus Epoxy Flooring. I just wanted to take the chance to briefly go over the history of Columbus Epoxy Flooring and how we got to where we are today. So we started in epoxy flooring a little over 9 years ago. We officially started, I believe it was May of 2012. And what got us into it was I was a kid in high school getting ready to graduate, didn't know what I was going to do. I had a little bit looked at college. College really wasn't for me. I hated school. So my dad had recommended I go into some form of, becoming an entrepreneur. I did a lot of handyman stuff in high school, so I was more hands-on, and I just enjoyed business. So my dad, again, recommending I go into business, had looked at some opportunities, and he found some franchises, and one of them being epoxy flooring. I don't know, probably a lot of our customers don't know this. When we started, we were actually part of a franchise that was based on the West Coast, and I'll go into a little bit of that later. But my dad had eyed epoxy because when he was in college, he had dabbled in it a little bit. He got brought on by a guy that he was doing epoxy flooring with, and I think that he had only done maybe a floor or two. The guy was a rougher guy, and back in the day they used to prepare the concrete with a chemical that's called methylene chloride. And when they were preparing the floor, he slipped and fell in it, and it did a lot of damage to his back. And from there on, he just got out of it. But that being said, he still saw a lot of business opportunity and a good product in the flooring. So he just kind of banked in his memory, and now here we are all these years later. The technology is a lot better, the coatings are a lot better, and it was just a good opportunity to jump into. My dad had looked at some options for a franchise and found a company that was based out west. So we got involved with them. Probably a couple years into it, we just realized it wasn't going to work out. So we left amicably. We had a big learning curve to go through, and we weren't really getting the training, the tools, the knowledge, and the help that we needed. So that's ultimately what sparked us to leave that franchise. So we formed then Columbus Epoxy Flooring 2 years later. Funny story of how Columbus Epoxy Flooring was formed. We have an awesome web guy that does a lot of our web stuff. And before we were Columbus Epoxy Flooring, we were designing a website, and he recommended that we go with a name to kind of help to go with the geography of where we were based out of, obviously being Columbus, Ohio. So he recommended we go with that as our domain name. He had, unfortunately, statistics were showing, and what he had recommended based off his recommendation to us was from just statistically most franchises don't work out, and he was right. So we ended up sticking with the name Columbus Epoxy Flooring and continued forward. We currently we are a father and son team. My dad and I are both the owners of Columbus Epoxy Flooring. My dad does a lot of sales work, and I am project manager, so I'm pretty much on all of your floors, looking over, making sure the installation's going smoothly. I order all your product, just take care of it, pretty much take care of the installation from A to B. We've always tried to make sure that quality was the top priority for our business. We've gone through a lot of different products and testing, and just making sure that we're always using the best products available at the time. When we first started, we didn't have a lot to work with. We were operating out of a 300 square foot small shop facility that my dad had on his property. We didn't have a lot of tools, we didn't have a lot of equipment, so it was a bigger challenge at first just to deal with the prep. I remember we used to hand grind most of our floors with just a 7-inch angle grinder and a cup wheel set up for pretty much all of our floors. But over time, we've invested in more equipment. It's made the job a lot smoother, a lot more efficient, and it's just really made it a lot easier on us. And it's been cool to, at least for us, to see how everything's evolved and gotten us to where we are today. We've gone through a lot of different products to really refine our process, to find out what products are the best, what products are the best for our guys to to work with to apply the installation, and what products are going to hold up the best over time. I remember one of the first floors we did, it was a stain job, and we did not have the equipment that was needed to do this job. Because we were doing a stain job, we had to get all the sealer off the surface and make sure that was fully exposed. The concrete was fully exposed to accept the stain. And the grinder that we had at the time just wasn't cutting it. It wasn't cutting very well. It was just taking forever to grind. And I think we spent 36 hours straight on that floor to get it done for the customer in time. We started at 9 in the morning. We worked all through the night nonstop. I mean, I think we'd take lunch breaks, but we worked all through the night. I remember getting up, or I remember looking at the clock, and it was 9 a.m. again, so it had been 24 hours and we were still working on the floor. So we finally had gotten to a point the next day where the floor was ground and we were able to apply the stain. And by the time that we had finished and were continuously moving on it, it was 9 o'clock that following evening, and it had been 36 hours before we got the floor done. And I remember a couple other floors that went about as badly as that one, and it really tested, I know, the whole team a couple times. But we always kept telling ourselves, keep moving, keep progressing, keep learning from our mistakes, and we're glad that we did, because we got to where we are today. We have very good processes. We have flooring systems that we feel really good about, and we've just seen that they've held up very well, and our customers are always happy with the quality of our installations. We've always kept quality as our top priority, and being a family-owned and operated business has helped us to do that. My dad and I, obviously being the owner and operators of Columbus Epoxy Flooring, and I currently have actually one of my cousins working with me now, and I've had a couple other members of my family working with us in the past, and it's really helped us to continue to focus on quality and make sure that we're getting things done the way that we tell the customer we're going to get them done, and that just means getting them done on time and having, again, quality is our top priority for all of our installations. Regardless of everything that we've been through over the years, I know that we're all glad we stuck it out, and I look forward to whatever the future brings for the company, and just look forward to growing. And we exceptionally appreciate the customers and all those that have stuck with us throughout the years. I'm Trent Martin with Columbus Epoxy Flooring, and thanks again for watching.